Likes is a group of terms that have quickly become infamous for their extreme saturation and reconciliation within the culture of video games. In this video, I'll condense my critical observations of these terms that are taken for granted, reflecting a prescriptive relationship to our understanding of video games. Likes in practice have very little span of reference, because video games are such individually visceral, not to mention long, experiences, while at the same time the craft developed monumentally within a single human lifespan, and perceptions grew more disparate and drastic between generational aesthetics and their benefactors. You're either a nostalgic loser who rejects modern gaming for indie scraps, or a wide-eyed deer who gets starstruck by crisp graphics and extra-dark monitors. Likes are a kind of emotional resonance that extrapolates personal identification with a game into a myopically objective median. Super Metroid and Dark Souls both share emotions of immersion and ability, as well as Mazer and Striker event spaces, but because of the prominence of those events respectively, and a difference in camera control, they wouldn't easily find a place in each other's genre. It's basically my contention that likes are expressing this emotional subjectivity despite their attempt to describe objective qualities, and this is made clear by the trend in language of unofficial varieties. Balatro-like is perhaps the latest iteration to be used with relative abundance. The game basically pulled out all the stops for appealing to jaded millennial aesthetics, and it quickly became a dearly beloved icon of gambling dehabilitation. Jokes aside, it's clear that Balatro was a breakout success, but it hasn't introduced anything new to the table as far as mechanical or emotional design. Legacy is a game's potential to be objectively lauded beyond itself for the developments that it passed on to later games, while Impact is the player's personal exposure to the accumulation of quality and legacy features. Rogue was so impactful unto itself that together with the scarcity of computing power, it created a space for an actual subculture in the 80s. However, the devotion of the genre's fans generated a strict interpretation that truncated anything with even a moderate deviation from the emotional legacy of Rogue, which consequently began to break down at the level of Impact. That consequence was the half-baked concept of Rogue Lite, a catch-all term for anything that was ostensibly trying and failing to capture the specific measures for a subculture that had already become niche by the 90s. Then afterward, this cultural drought of true roguelikes had caused the general public to practically discard the semantic differences of roguelite and use both words interchangeably, or more accurately, only use one to arbitrarily call out how it differs from the other. This strange, arbitrary language was later used for Dark Souls when it also grew into an alleged genre, and fans of those games started to become defensive about their emotional particularities being diluted by so many games latching on to Souls-like as a descriptor. Likes potentially describe valid observations and expressions of taste, but the language we use should strive to accommodate the subjectivity that is inherent to the medium of video games, and really any point of critique or analysis. To be so bold as to explain every detail about a particular work of art to achieve a comprehensive conclusion usually just seems like a frivolous and antithetical exercise. What makes for a much more impactful review, in my opinion, are the few details that had potent thoughts and emotions attached. But is there a merit to these descriptions of video games that I'm not seeing? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching this one.